Japan didn't help us, Australia didn't help us, South Korea didn't help us, and then you get to NATO. NATO didn't help us.
Right. This sounds like a normal NATO discussion. Then he calls it something that most leaders would not say out loud.
Your messaging on the war has moved from the war is coming to an end to war going to be bombing Iran to the Stone Ages. Right. And we've heard a range of those kind of messages. So which is it? Are you winding this down or are you escalating it?
I can't tell you. I don't know. I can't tell you. Depends what they do. This is a critical period. They have a period of, till tomorrow at 8 o'clock. I gave them an extension. They asked for an extension of 7 days, right? I said, Steve, give them 10 days. 10 days is up actually today, so I gave them 11, I guess, indirectly. I thought it was inappropriate the day after Easter. I want to be a nice person. They have till tomorrow. Now, we'll see what happens. I can tell you they're negotiating, we think, in good faith. We're going to find out. We're getting the help of some incredible countries that want this to be ended because it affects them also. A lot of people are affected by this. But we're giving them till tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. And after that, they're going to have no bridges. They're going to have no power plants. Stone Ages, yeah.
So 100% here, if he removes all of their infrastructure and along with their economic might, let's say this year, then yeah, by default, that's the Stone Ages here. Now, if we're talking about negotiating in good faith in terms of Iran and the current Iranian regime, how much can we put stock into that here? But again, I also believe 100% that Trump is going to kind of move forward here. If they do not do anything within the next couple of hours here, by the looks of it here, because this was today, right? If they do not do anything within the next couple of hours, then yeah, Stone Ages, in fact.
Voiced your displeasure with NATO in the past. Is there a danger to the U.S. not being the de facto of the leader of the alliance and then other powers within the alliance then getting the decision making when it comes to wars and nuclear weapons?
No, it's not a danger. Look, we went to NATO. I didn't ask very strongly. I just said, hey, if you want to help, great. No, we will not help. I said, that's all right. You don't want to help? Because I've always said NATO's a paper tiger. See, NATO's a paper tiger. Putin's not afraid of NATO. Putin's afraid of us, very afraid of us. And he's explained it to me a lot of times. I got to know him very well. I know him very well. NATO's a paper tiger. NATO is us. And when we needed them, we didn't need them, by the way. We didn't need them, obviously, because they haven't helped at all. Just the opposite. They've actually gone out of their way not to help.
They've hindered.
They didn't even want to give us landing strips.
Spain.
Think of it. And it's not just NATO. You know who else didn't help us? South Korea didn't help us. You know who else didn't help us? Australia didn't help us. You know who else didn't help us? Japan.
Right.
We've got 50,000 soldiers in Japan to protect them from North Korea. We have 45,000 soldiers in South Korea to protect us from Kim Jong-un, who I get along with very well, as you know. Do you notice he said very nice things about me? He used to call Joe Biden a mentally retarded person, okay? So don't tell me about your stuff.
What happened?
Joe Biden, he said he's a mentally retarded person. He was so nasty to Joe Biden. It was terrible. But to me, he likes Trump. And you notice how nice things are with North Korea? It's very nice. But we have 45,000 people, soldiers, in harm's way, and right next to Kim Jong-un with a lot of nuclear weapons. 45, which should have never happened. If a certain president, I'm not going to mention this president because I happen to like him, believe it or not.
Okay.
But if a certain president did his job, Kim Jong-un would not have nuclear weapons right now. But they were all afraid to do their job properly. But just to conclude and just to finish, Japan didn't help us, Australia didn't help us, South Korea didn't help us, and then you get to NATO. NATO didn't help us.
Right.
There were some countries that did. Now, countries that have been good, now you could also say they're got to be a little bit more involved because they're in the territory, but Saudi Arabia has been excellent. Qatar has been excellent. UAE has been excellent. Bahrain, Kuwait. I mean, Kuwait did shoot down 3 of our planes. The only planes, really, that we lost with friendly fire, they call it. I call it unfriendly fire. They unfortunately didn't know how to use our...
Bro, Trump isn't a real person, bro, I swear.
Our great patriots. The pilot said, what kind of a missile's coming at us? Patriot. Boom, they got out. because they know a patriot never misses. So they had beautiful patriots. There were planes heading in their direction. Unfortunately, they decided to shoot those planes. They were our planes. So, NATO is a paper tiger. Now, he's coming to see me on Wednesday, as you know. He's a wonderful guy. Secretary General is great. And Mark Rutte, he's a great person, but...
Doesn't he call him daddy?
And it all began with, if you want to know the truth, Greenland. We want Greenland.
Right.
They don't want to give it to us. And I said, bye-bye. Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
Guys, I swear, whenever Trump speaks, it always feels like he's like on stage delivering like a set, if that makes any sense here. Like a full-blown comedy-oriented expert level with timing, if that makes any sense here. Listen, he said what he said about Joe Biden. He said that. Look at the look on that man's face when he said that, all right? So just understand... He was just happy to say it. That's kind of the energy I got from this here. NATO being a paper tiger is absolutely, in fact, the reality here. Like, you can bark right as loud as you possibly can. We can go ahead and call you a tiger. Sure thing here, right? But your defenses and basically everything that you basically exude sounds good on paper, but it's really not, guys, right? And again, we can poke through you like paper if we needed to, right? So yeah, in fact, paper tiger. That's kind of how I've always equated it anyway here. The fact that Japan is doing nothing is moderately, troubling, all right? Because if Japan doesn't step forward here or do something or just say, hey, listen, sorry, right? We're over here fighting for Taiwan. We want to make sure that China does not take Taiwan while you're over here trying to take Iran. Maybe. That could be it here. That's most likely the case here. Let's just be honest here. Like, let's move away from the partisan politics for a second. Japan not stepping up specifically right now is most likely something Taiwan oriented. So let's be serious here. I'm not worried about Japan like that, but it is like, it's hard to hear, right? But it's most likely about Taiwan. All right, let's move on from them for a second. South Korea, that's interesting because Kim Jong-un is not going to push in if like 10,000 soldiers kind of stepped away for a second, if that makes any sense here, guys, right? It's been pretty silent out there for many a decades, right? So that's different. South Korea is different. Let's see, who else did he mention? Australia. The politics in Australia is interesting. Okay, so if you think Spain not allowing the United States of America to basically land or launch from Rota specifically is surprising, don't be surprised at what's going on in Australia. Australia absolutely, yeah, it's interesting out there. Not everyone, I'm sure there's some great humans out there, but a lot of them have like blue hairs and like septum piercings. So I think that's all I need to say kind of regarding that. The overall, like the vibe of like Sydney, it kind of feels like California, but like, it's not California, but it kind of feels like California. The real estate prices are absolutely astronomical. Once you start getting into that type of politics, you start to realize that everything starts getting a little bit more expensive, like Canada. But either way, that's not what I'm talking about right now here. Let's see what else did he mention here. NATO is interesting because it would be great if they were to actually do something, help us for step up and say, hey, right, we're going to go ahead and let you land on our bases consistently or in our countries if you need us. We're here. We maybe we can't offer manpower, but we back you 100%, etc. Because what's going to happen to NATO without the United States of America basically being in NATO? What's left? What's the purpose of NATO? Right now, Putin not being afraid of NATO. I don't know how true that statement is, right? Like truthfully, obviously they're afraid of the United States of America. That's why we were trying to do that mineral deal specifically in the Ukraine about a year ago or so, right? This is why we were trying to do that. Because if we have some type of say or stake in the country of the Ukraine here, then how likely is it for Putin to basically attack a region that the United States of America basically owns or has a business interest in? It's not very likely at all, right? So that's another thing there, right? So now, would Putin be afraid of NATO, though? I want to go back to that there. I would say 70-30. I'm like 70-30 on that there. I can't basically confirm that, but based off of what I know specifically from like reading a whole lot and paying attention to kind of what's been going on for these years here, I don't know, guys. I mean, Putin is brazen, right? But I'm not sure he can actually do much more than he's doing right now. He does not have, like when the Ukraine hit Russia, there were a lot of people in Russia that were like, oh no, they can hit us. Okay. So that kind of changed the way the public sentiment specifically in Russia, kind of changed kind of how Putin was kind of moving, at least here. And I remember specifically speaking to a friend of mine that's in Russia, about kind of what was going on, and she was like, yeah, when they struck something in our country, the whole idea of what was going on just immediately shifted, like public sentiment. Now you start seeing a good amount of the people, like the super wealthy in Russia, leaving Moscow and heading out to Marbella in Spain, right? So now literally Marbella is basically low Moscow. I'm telling you. Yeah. All right. Everyone has basically fled because they're scared for their life that Ukraine is going to hit them. So I'm not sure about I don't know how long this is going to last, the whole Russia and Ukraine thing neither. But it would make a whole lot of sense if they were to give us a piece of land, let's say, that we can kind of get some minerals from. We can get something out of the money that we've basically wasted on behalf of Europe and NATO. And I'm saying wasted because if it was valuable, then they would allow us to land on their bases. So they like taking our money. They like, living in the shadow of protection, let's just say this year, of the United States of America, but they really truthfully have no actual interest at all, in backing us because of the European politics, guys, right? And understand this here. I live half of every single year, in the south of Spain. So I see what it's like, guys. I'm telling you, the politics out there. It's California on steroids, guys. All right. Like, understand, they made like a gigantic quantity of illegals legal because it made them feel bad that they saw ICE basically packing people up in the United States of America. That's basically the gist of it. I'm just boiling it down to that. I'm sure it's not as like, as obvious as that there, right? But it's basically that. But either way, listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly. If you guys are new here, please like and subscribe. And in the meantime,